I'm not talking to you now.
We are off to a great start already.
We already don't like each other. 5 seconds into the show.
Happy Sunday to all of us. We are so happy that all of you are here because we still want to hear from you and we don't want to talk to each other.
I'm not going to talk to you.
That's it.
You.
I'm Sara Lesky. Yeah. He is Jamie Thomas. This is Check-In. We're so happy to have you here on this Sunday afternoon, an early edition because, of course, it is a 2 p.m. afternoon start here with the Vancouver Canucks in town as the Winnipeg Jets close out this 4-game homestand. They had the big win against Washington earlier in the week. Shut out Jersey, and now looking to close it out with another 2 points.
Yeah, like how good were they on Friday against the New Jersey Devils? The start was tremendous. 2 goals in the first
less than 2 minutes.
Less than 2 minutes
just
in.
Under.
Yeah, like it was a great start that way.
This just in, you go to the net.
Yeah.
Good things can happen.
Something the coaching staff's probably been harping on for a very long time. So
probably for many seasons.
And then they could take those 2 goals and go, this is what happens when you do exactly what we've been trying to tell you.
Exactly.
So they get off to a great start. And I think there was concern that from the emotional win over Washington on Tuesday that they weren't going to be able to bring that into the game against New Jersey. And lo and behold, they had exactly that and a lot more because they gave New Jersey very little to work with. And Sheldon Keefe get a lot of credit when you give the best defensive team in the NHL a 2-0 lead, you're in trouble right there. And then they got a power play goal in the second period, and we're leading 4-0 after 40 minutes. And then, of course, the big thing is Connor Hellebuyck gets his 7th shutout of the year. It's the 8th shutout for the franchise this season, and he breaks his own franchise record. He just keeps piling up things in the old resume. And then the fact that you heard the MVP chants going throughout the building, thinking he's making a great case for that. Leon Draisaitl threw himself back in the party last night.
Did he ever? Wow.
3 points, 2 goals, 51 on the year. And then, of course, Nathan McKinnon is up there. And now look at Nikita Kucherov is now tied with McKinnon for the most points in the National Hockey League. So there's a lot of company in that Hart Trophy conversation.
For these next 9 or 10 games,
for
sure.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting about how this all goes. So lots to watch on top of that. And then the bummer part of it is Dallas wins again yesterday.
Right. Well, everyone continues to win in the Central Division. That's what we expect.
Yeah.
Really going through at this point.
And I think too, they're talking with Adam and Lowry after practice yesterday. They actually asked, Kelly Moore asked if he asked her dad for a little bit of help.
Yeah, because of course, if you remember, Dave Lowry, assistant coach with the Seattle Kraken,
and he said and Adam said I actually did ask for a little help. But Dallas won that game 5-1 in Seattle. Those 2 teams will play again on Monday, I believe. So Dallas 4 back. They play the same amount of games. That'll change after this afternoon when the Jets play Vancouver.
Yeah, one of the things that I loved about the win against Jersey, and you mentioned that there was questions, and I mean it was a question put forth by the coaching staff as well, wanting to make sure that they were able to respond because that game did not have the same storylines going into it and same natural hype that you've had against Washington with the top 2 teams going head to head in the league. But I like the way that they responded. I like the way that they kept the momentum going with it throughout the game. They were patient with it, but they were still aggressive when they needed to be, but not foolishly. And I think that that's really important when you look at how many games are left in the season and being able to win in different ways when you're faced with different styles of teams and different games.
Yeah. And, the coaching staff, of course, and the players themselves will admit and we'll run this clip back in a second about how they played in Vancouver on that last road trip they were on. It was the middle game. Of course, they won the game in Seattle in overtime, then lost to Vancouver and then beat Edmonton. But, Vancouver comes in again. As we take a look at the standings in the Western Conference, there is the Vancouver Canucks sitting low, right below that line. And we'll have Dan Murphy joining us here from Sportsnet momentarily when Sarah goes to get the interview with Scott Arniel. Canucks are 6 back of that final playoff spot, although they do have some games in hand on the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, but you look, I mean, now the intrigue for me with that wild card spot is more so who's going to finish 1-2 in it, and whether or not St. Louis is going to, St. Louis might actually, maybe, but they're 9-1 in their last 10. Like they just continue to roll. And, we talk about the Four Nations bump, talk about a bump for Jordan Binnington since they won that, just being lights out with what they've been able to do. So things have certainly changed a little bit when you look in the standings, even compared to when these 2 teams, the Canucks and Jets, last played in terms of the distance that wildcard teams have been able to put between themselves and the Canucks.
Well, speaking of this matchup here today, here's some thoughts. We'll start with Dylan DeMello, and then Scott Arniel will throw in what his thoughts, because this goes into how the team played the last time these 2 teams met.
Team, obviously. They're playing well. They've had a good road trip. Obviously a tough one yesterday, but they were able to get a point. Hughes has obviously been carrying the mail. He's a top player in this league. He's doing a lot of things for that group, and they play hard. They're a hard forechecking team. They don't give you anything easy, and they're real stingy to play against. So we expect their A game, and we got to bring our A game to beat them tomorrow.
Well, we certainly want to be a lot better than what we were in that game down there. Gave up a lot of rush chances, coverage chances that not normally sort of in our DNA, and we need to clean that up. I think since we played all our games since then, I think our team game has been a lot better.
Yeah, you look at what the scores have been like in the season series so far.
Yeah.
Blowouts one way or the other.
6-1
here.
6-2, yeah.
If you remember when they played here in January, Kyle Connor with the natural hat trick in the first period, no less.
Yeah.
And then Vancouver took it to Winnipeg and returned the favor in March, a 6-2 win.
So yeah, Kelly Moore was bringing up if you like tennis. 6-1, 2-6, I guess if you want to look at it that way, and we'll see what the third set will bring here this afternoon between these two teams. Canucks at the tail end of a long road trip, a 6-game road trip. Last game of that, and the Jets on the last game of a 4-game homestand.
And coming in off of a very eventful game against Columbus that ended in 7-6 shootout loss. So Murph will undoubtedly have much to add to that.
Speaking of, we'll add one more thing here. Of course, we're talking about the pressure that Dallas is putting on Winnipeg right now. And Adam Lowry, of course, touched on that about the space between the two. And if he's okay with it, you have something to add.
Well, just before you go,
Yeah.
when you throw that on, I'm going to sneak out.
Okay.
I'm
And then after you sneak out, there's a much taller person going to be standing beside me.
Yes.
We'll show you
We'll
who
see
that
if
is.
you can get him to wear a hat too. People love your hat.
I know.
They
30% off.
question the combination, but
Yeah.
the hats.
Of course you would notice the insults that are being thrown my way.
Yes.
No one's going to miss you. See you later. Here's Adam Lowry.
More space, like you know. But no, it kind of you coming down to the wire. You're always in races. A few years ago, we were watching Calgary every night because we were fighting for that last spot to get in. This year, maybe we felt like it would be a little different. We get off to such a good start. Maybe there's less stress coming down the stretch, but it's just different kinds of stress. And it's always fun to be in these races, to be fighting for, not only the division title, the conference title, but, to be the best team in the league. I think, we're pushing every day. And, Dallas has a great team. Vegas has a great team. Washington.
The pressure that's coming from behind is that continues to motivate us and push us and doesn't let us take our foot off the gas. So, we just have to continue to take care of our business. We're at home here, finish off this homestand here, get 3 of 4, and then we'll move on to our next one. But, our focus really has to be in making sure that we're better than Vancouver.
All right. So congratulations. You're the first ever guest on set. Everybody has either been on their phone or their laptop. This is Dan Murphy of Sports. That's been covering the Vancouver Canucks for a very long time. And so while we're chatting here, I have to edit the name because it's no longer Sarah Lesky.
It can be.
What's that?
It can be.
It can be whatever you want.
Exactly.
Especially on television.
Yes.
Dan Murphy, everybody. Last time, so before the Jets and Canucks played each other in Vancouver, I had texted you what's going on, and you said the Canucks can't score, the Canucks can't beat the Jets, and I can't remember what the other subject was.
Yeah.
But all those first two were not true.
Yeah. Well, for that game.
Yeah.
It
So
was a rare one.
So they were coming off a 7-6 shootout loss in Columbus. So all of a sudden they're scoring.
Yes.
What is going right in that department?
It's funny because the Jets game was the last game before this road trip,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they started the road trip without Filipino, right? He's concussion. He's still back in Vancouver. They started the road trip with Demko with the team, but not healthy to start yet. And then, although Demko comes back, they lose Pettersson and Hoglander after the Rangers game. Elias Pettersson,
Okay.
not Elias, Elias Pettersson.
That must be fun.
In the Rangers game. So starting at that point, their top 4 centers are Pius Suter, Teddy Bluger, Niels Oman, and Atu Ratu. So how does the scoring go up? Now, I'll give you this. They have been extremely scrappy. They've shown a lot of mettle, like on this road trip so far.
Which is like the head coach pretty much.
Yes. I mean, and it's they have to. Like all things considered, the road trip has been pretty good. They're 2-1-2. But the Blues don't lose. So they're losing ground, the Blues.
Yeah.
But on this trip, like if you look at it as a whole, in St. Louis, they score with less than 3 seconds left. and lose in overtime. But they get a point. At Madison Square, they scored less than 5 minutes left to tie it, and then lose in regulation, give up one right away. In Jersey, they score with 40 seconds left to tie it and win in a shootout. They win on Long Island in the last game. They had a 2-goal lead in the third. All of a sudden, they're down 1/3. They scored 2 minutes left to force overtime. They lose in a shootout. So they've shown a lot of fight back. Now, some of the reasons they're down is self-inflicted wounds. But I will say they have had a lot of chances to throw in the towel, and they haven't done it yet. So the odds are long, as we see. With the way St. Louis is playing, 9 consecutive wins. They, beat the Avs at home yesterday, snapped their 11-game home winning streak. But they're still not out of it. But, they've got this building that's kind of like the little house of horrors for them.
Yeah.
They haven't won a lot here. They're going to have to find a way to get one. Now, Demko is playing, so maybe that helps. But it's going to be a tough test.
Before you came on, Sarah and I talked about Connor Hellebuyck, of course, being in the conversation for the Hart Trophy. Leon Draisaitl scores 2 last night. He's at the 51.
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon's doing what he's doing, and then Nikita Kucherov's tied for the scoring lead. Yeah. You have been very outspoken about Quinn Hughes throwing himself in that conversation. Now, we don't have the graphics to back it up, but there are some reasons why.
Well, I mean, it all goes down to it's always the semantics of the Hart Trophy. I think the description is the player deemed most valuable to his team.
Yeah.
Right. So by that definition alone, I don't think it can be Draisaitl because he's got McDavid and they're both top 5 in odds.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be McKinnon because Makar's top 5 in odds. Right. But I'm all for giving the MVP to the best player in the league. It doesn't have to be most valuable to his team. And that's kind of what they do. So, but if you go to most valuable to his team, I posted something the other day and it was through Evolving Hockey now, since they've been tracking since 07-08. Okay. Numbers. And so that's, 30 teams, 31 teams, 32 teams. So I think there's 554 teams of data with every year they've done it. With Quinn Hughes on the ice this season, they have either was first or second of all those teams in goals per 60 that he drives. Without him on the ice, they're bottom 10% of all those teams. So they're either the very best or one of the very worst when he's not on the ice. I don't know what you can say. They don't have a single forward on pace for 60 points.
Yeah.
Now he's probably missed too many games, right? He's at 70 points. He's missed 14 games, I think, like that. So listen, if you want to say Cale Makar is better than Quinn Hughes, I've got all the time for that. I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
I just see what he's meant to this team. And really, he has dragged this team along this year. It's quite amazing.
Okay. So here's another question in terms of Rick Tocchet did a great job last year. Is he doing a better job coaching this year if they get back in the playoffs?
It might be tougher this year, or if they make the playoffs. Most certainly. I mean, when you think of what's gone this season, I'll try to recap it, but late September, Dakota Joshua testicular cancer.
Yeah.
Right. Start with that. On the eve of camp, they say not only is Demko not healthy from the playoffs, we have no idea when he's coming back. Turned out to be December.
Right.
Okay. Then first month, Jeannot hits Besser. He's concussed. He's almost out a month. Then Miller takes a leave of absence. During that leave of absence, we learned that the situation with him and Pettersson's untenable. One's probably going to be traded. While he's on his leave of absence, the Canucks go on the road. Hronek gets hurt for 6 weeks, right? And then a little bit later, Hughes get hurt. And then on his latest trip, Pettersson's hurt. And they make the Miller trade. So with all the stuff that's gone on, like last year, everything went right. They won the division.
Right.
This year, just about everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. And, they still have a chance, a slim one. But I would say the job that the coach has done and probably the job that Quinn's done as a captain, because it's been very trying season.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, what has the team been like since JT Miller was traded to the Rangers? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people on the outside looking at this and going, maybe that was the catalyst.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it even fair?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Pettersson, he had a slow start after Miller was traded, and then he was showing signs of really coming on. And maybe more than anything, there was just the weight of an issue for 2 months when it's a league-wide story.
Yeah.
Right. I think that can drag on a team. And so I think something had to be done. And I'm not going to say I think they traded the right guy or they traded the wrong guy, but I think that in a vacuum, you can make a case who's better. But I think Miller was the one that had to be traded, because I think even if you traded Pettersson, I'm not sure we would have seen the full Miller like we'd seen in the past in Vancouver.
Right.
From there on in. So it's too bad. I mean, when you think back to, prior to the trade deadline 3 seasons ago, it was Horvat, Miller, and Pettersson were their 3 centers. They couldn't afford to pay, obviously, both Miller and Horvat. Now they're down to Pettersson, and he's not even playing because he's hurt. So it's yeah.
So what's the mood like in Vancouver right now?
I think there's still disappointment because there was big expectations for this team this year. And certainly, there was a lot of excitement last year when they made the playoffs. They take the Oilers to 7 games with their third string goalie, Artur Shilovs, right?
Yeah.
With Pettersson not playing well. So I think there was some excitement this year. There's definitely disappointment, but I think people can also see that the group has been pretty scrappy.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's some respect for that, but it won't make them feel any better. The playoffs start and the Canucks aren't in it.
Okay, so we addressed Demko. We all know goaltending is what drives teams to success in the playoffs. Can we put into terms how good Kevin Lankinen's been as a free agent signing?
I mean, I don't know where they'd be a lottery team for sure.
Yeah.
And they signed him during training camp.
Right.
Right.
So it wasn't really in the plans.
Yeah. No, it's like, I think they were trying to I think 2 things. They didn't want to give him a lot of money. And secondly, he was looking for the right fit, and clearly he picked the right spot because now he just signed a long-term extension. I think that he has ran out of gas a little bit here down the stretch. Like, he's not used to playing all these games.
Plus 4 nations.
Yeah, plus 4 nations. So I think you've seen that a little bit. But this team certainly would be, bottom of the division right there with San Jose if it wasn't for Lankinen this year, because without him, and maybe Shilovs finds his game, but he didn't find it early.
Yeah.
And it would have been very tough. They had to sign a goaltender and they signed the right one.
Well, it's insane. And did you see before, with all the good feelings coming from last year? Mm-hmm. Did you see all this coming? The way that things have broken down, because you just talked about how everything went right.
Yeah.
In a million years, would you see everything going wring the way it has?
No, not the way it has.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't think
it's not even fair. It doesn't make sense.
Any of it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's like I said, I've been covering this team a long time. It is one of the craziest seasons I've ever covered, I think. And there's been 2 seasons where I've covered criminal trials.
Yeah.
So
yes,
put that out there. But yeah, it's been crazy. And I bet they're tired, but they have to somehow find a way to win this game. They somehow get 2 points, and again, it's a monumental task because I think the Jets are ticked at their last game and ticked at the last game against Vancouver.
Right.
So it's going to be. But if they could somehow drag 2 points, it'll be a great road trip. They'll be 4 points back at St. Louis with a game in hand.
Mm-hmm.
They're not dead, but they lose this one, and then the numbers just get a little bit too crazy. I think.
What's the schedule like down the road here?
They've got a pretty tough schedule. They got Vegas still twice. They've got the last road trip is they leave a week today.
Mm-hmm.
We Sunday.
Yeah.
So a week tomorrow, and they play Dallas and Colorado. So they've got some tough games left.
Yeah,
no question. But this road trip is the last long one. This is game 6 of a 6-gamer, and they go home for 3, and then back for those 2 in Dallas.
So what's it been like without Cheech around?
Well, we miss him. I mean, it's just he's, as you know, he's just one of our favorite people. He was so much fun to travel with. But I will say, for Dave Tomlinson to be put in a tough spot, right?
Yes.
He's following Cheech and he's sharing duties with Ray Ferraro.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's really found his voice. He's doing a great job. So, and he's been put in a tough spot. I mean, that's not easy.
No.
People love Cheech and people love Ray. And so Dave knew he was coming to a tough spot, but I think he's really finding a voice.
How's Dave doing? Is he enjoying being back and doing less traveling? In some ways, Seattle and
yeah. Well, yeah, he doesn't have the apartment, doesn't have to go down there every weekend. Yeah, no, I think he's really and I think doing TV with the Canucks is his dream job. That was always it, right?
Yeah.
He did radio before
the rights
held. Yeah, did a little bit here, sharing duties with Mr. Sawyer, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's loving it.
All right. Yeah. Appreciate you having on the show. Thanks.
Yeah. My way. Found it.
If you want one of these, 30% off.
It's like I've been drafted.
Congratulations. Welcome to the team.
Where's the stick?
Dan Murphy, first overall. Yes. Thanks, man.
Okay. Have a good one.
Thanks.
See you soon.
Dan Murphy from Sportsnet. So listen, Sarah's just finished up her interview with Scott Arniel. Always appreciate Dan Murphy coming in and elaborating what's going on with the Vancouver Canucks. Canucks, as you just heard from Murph, I don't think you can even put into words how crazy this season has been for them. Sarah Orleski and our staff, our content staff, have done a wonderful job with another home ice. And this one is starring Logan Stanley, who's had a last few games has been tremendous. And here's a look at the latest edition of Home Ice featuring Logan Stanley.
Wheeler steals it. Stanley fires and he scores!
How would you describe yourself? We always hear the term girl dad now.
Yeah, I love being a girl dad.
Yeah?
I think it's awesome. I think, hopefully we have a boy in the future. Maybe
Balance
even
it out.
Yeah, I don't want to be the solo boy in the family, but it's been great just to see her how happy she is every day and how much fun she has with life. It's really refreshing.
Let it go. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Any things you want to elaborate on while you're gone? Dan Murphy did a real good job in your absence.
Of course he did.
I
Murph's
might
the
ask.
best.
I might ask him to replace you. I don't
Murph,
know. I don't
Murph
know if he
is
wants
the
to.
best.
Like, no offense.
Oh,
I say
then
that respectfully.
There's no offense taken.
Okay, good.
No,
'Cause he's really good.
he's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
So just think, I love asking because it's one of my favorite parts. Because when you guys have hosted games beside each other for so long,
yeah.
like that's one of the. Is that one of the few times when you're actually beside Murph or like another host down in the Zamboni entrance?
There's a few
Does
teams.
Does Gene Principe do openers beside you
I think
here?
if Gene did.
Because I don't think I've ever seen it, but I think it's just you and Murph most times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there used to be more often that we would see people down in the Zamboni, but yeah, Murph's always down there. But Murph is the greatest. I mean, he's covered the Canucks since the 90s. So he's been through the highs and lows. I look forward to going back and watching this show to see what he said about everything.
Yeah, no, he did. It's been a mess for Vancouver. There's been a lot of things happening.
There absolutely have. Just quickly.
Sorry. We should. Before we get going.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the home ice with Logan Stanley.
Yeah, and I love to see so many people in the comments already when about the feature, and a lot of people have watched already. Look, we know that Logan Stanley can be a polarizing figure when it comes to Winnipeg Jets fans, but hopefully this gives you a greater appreciation for him, also just as a person. For it, a very proud girl dad. One of the clips, so it's released right now. You can go catch it on Winnipeg Jets YouTube channel.
Oh, by the way, sorry.
Yes.
Apparently you're replaceable. So.
No, who's that, Stacey? Thank you, Stacey. You know what? That's so nice of you to say, especially on a Sunday morning. Getting grief from him. That really means a lot. So I appreciate that.
Okay, sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead, finish your story.
I noticed you didn't say JT is irreplaceable.
No.
Just saying. But
anybody can do my job. Now go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I loved. He's such a nice guy, and we say that about so many in the room.
Yeah.
Such a nice guy. He's such a proud girl dad. And one of the clips that you'll see if you watch the full feature is him saying that I probably get really tired of seeing pictures of his daughter Evie, especially the ones that have their own kids.
Right.
But which I love. I love anytime that you see parents that are so proud for it. So anyways, it's a great feature. He does work within the community here as well, and just a good guy that hopefully gives people a better perspective on him as a person away from the rink.
Listen, humanizing anybody always helps. Like with what happens on the ice, it's easy to get mad about things, but as soon as you understand and know somebody, it's a little bit harder to be upset
for it. Yes, absolutely.
All right, so big game here again today. Great crowd of people tuning in today. I always appreciate our viewers on Sundays. We always get a lot of people tuning in, but I think Vancouver at the tail end of things and trying to stay alive and realizing. So both teams are under a lot of pressure. The Jets are trying to keep Dallas off them, and Vancouver is trying to keep winning while St. Louis never loses. That's the flat out. And they do have some games in hand on the Blues, but man, it is crazy how St. Louis just keeps rolling the way they are.
Yeah.
So because Minnesota finally lost last night, I believe it was, but St. Louis goes into Denver and beats Colorado 2-1 to keep that team off the score with one goal speaks to how well they're playing right now.
Absolutely. Who do you think is going to be in net today? Put you on the spot with it.
Well, here's speaking of babies.
Yeah.
Eric Comrie's wife is expecting.
Due any moment. I don't believe she's had the. I don't believe she's had the baby.
We haven't anything pop up yet at this point, so that's kind of in the back of the mind. I would hazard a guess it's going to be Helly.
Right.
So, and I'm only going to tell you why, because yesterday, Scott O'Neill was just talking about there's a lot of things going on, and the most important thing to the organization is to finish first in the Central. So, in a game like this, with the way Vancouver's playing right now, it would make sense to me that would be Helly.
Also,
yes.
I mean, we do know he loves afternoon games, but then I also wonder if you think that Eric Comrie's wife is going to go into labor at any moment. Do you want to pull him off in the middle of the first period because all of a sudden they get a text?
Now, of course, these guys can focus with the best of them. in a situation, but yeah, like so.
But
you're
I mean,
you're doing the math and you're doing the
I would
physics.
think he's not staying until the end of the game if
No.
she goes into labor.
I left in the middle of a game when we had our first kid. I was hosting the Flames game and left.
Mid-sentence?
Yeah, gotta go.
You just mic drop.
Yep,
I'm
see
out.
ya. I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah, see you later.
The Flames have got this.
Yeah, I mean, me leaving a broadcast is totally the same as an NHL game. Obviously, that's why I'm comparing the two. But I could kind of see. So while we're doing the math and we're having this conversation, it just makes sense. Connor, how we get to start
For it. Well, we will have to see when warm-up gets underway. Obviously, it is. You know what? I like that, James. Dad first, hockey later. Absolutely.
Quote of the day.
I am.
We don't need a question of the day. Just like quote of the day.
I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah.
I think that all organizations should allow the players to be and encourage the players to be there at the end of the game at the end of the day, as much as everybody loves this. Would you leave as well? We know you'd leave your job in order to go the birth. This is a job. They've got to be there as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's stuff you can't replace anytime. So
no, you can't. So this is the final game of this 4-game homestand. The Jets looking for a win tonight would give them the season series against the Canucks, but would also put them 3-4 on this homestand before they head out on the road. So we've got some late games coming up this upcoming week in LA, which is 9:30 Central. I mean, as if 9 o'clock isn't bad enough. 9:30 is just that much more painful.
I guess LA traffic plays a role in this whole scheme of things to get downtown.
So we've got LA, we've got Vegas.
Yeah, and then Utah trying to stay alive. And of course, Jets the first time they played in Utah did not go well. Mike, the hat is at Jets Gear. It's 30% off.
And if you are not able to get to the game today, you can go onto the True North website.
Yeah.
True North shop website, and you can get them off there. 90s style starter hats. Those in stock. They've got some toques I was looking today as well. 30% off. So that's a shame that you got to take that off.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I do. It's a good look. Should keep going with that. Thanks so much, everybody. We'd love to see so many of you join us in the conversation. We are looking forward to a great game this afternoon. It has been a sold-out building for several games now. Looking for it to be another full building again here today. And then we're down to the final few home games then of the regular season. Of course, also then playoffs around the corner. And if you want to guarantee your spot and be able to get your playoff tickets, there is one way to be able to do it. Priority access to playoff tickets with a deposit on season ticket or on ticket membership for next year.
Yeah, season ticket members always get priority access to playoff tickets at the best prices.
So
need we say more?
You don't want to be left out.
I've already bought season tickets with that sell job. I'll just tell Des. I'll tell Des later.
There you go.
We bought season tickets.
Surprise!
Happy anniversary.
Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. We look forward to seeing you this upcoming week. Maybe we will be back to our regular 12:30 times, but we will also probably have a great deal of coffee with us.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. Thanks again and for taking the time to check in.
See you guys.